NextGenWeb recently attended a forum titled Building the Broadband Economy and Society, presented by the Information Technology and Innovation Foundation and University of California at Berkeley. Speakers at the event who shared their insights on today's broadband landscape included Steve Weber, Professor of Political Science at UC Berkeley and Director of the School's Institute for International Studies, Ev Elrich, former Clinton administration Undersecretary for Commerce, Rob Atkinson, President of the Information Technology and Innovation Foundation, John Mayo, Professor of Economics, Business and Public Policy, and William Lair, Research Associate in the Center for Technology Policy, also at Georgetown's McDonald School of Business. The forum focused on the state of competition in today's broadband marketplace and competition's role in encouraging increased broadband access, deployment, and innovation. While panelists disagreed on some issues, the overwhelming consensus was that broadband in the U.S. is booming. Today, internet service providers throughout the country are delivering unprecedented levels of speed to the highest number of Americans ever at historically low costs.
An important fact about measuring output is that a box of cereal is a box of cereal, and a ton of steel is a ton of steel. But a line of software isn't a line of software, and a covered interest rate swap is not a covered interest rate swap, and similarly, connectivity isn't connectivity.
During a question and answer session, Rob Atkinson talked about some of the less obvious benefits that broadband brings to consumers.
One of the things I think broadband does is it turns consumers into producers. So some of it, what they do when they use YouTube, they're being consumers, or when they play Xbox, so on broadband, they're being consumers. But much of what they do is they're producers. And so, for example, when you go online and you, we'll talk about this in the next panel, you do some healthcare. You're a healthcare producer. You become part of the production system. When you go online and you might print out your boarding pass or engage in distance education, you're doing things in a much more efficient way than you were. Otherwise, you're lowering costs and raising productivity for the economy.
Professor John Mayo had an interesting take on the economics of broadband expansion and internet regulation.
We also know, as a matter of fact, prices in any sense of the word have fallen. Prices have fallen as a nominal matter, that the price for the same service has fallen. The price in quality adjusted terms has fallen. The price in real terms, inflation adjusted, has fallen. No matter how you measure it, the price of broadband has fallen. It's more affordable today than it's ever been, and it appears to be a situation where firms are vying desperately to load up customers.
One of the panelists, William Lair, co-authored a study with the Brookings Institution's Robert Lighton. Visit NextGenWeb for our podcast with Lighton. Lair, like Lighton, talked about the tremendous benefits to the economy of increased broadband deployment.
So what do we observe, right? Okay. What's the high-level result? Well, high-level result is a 1% increase in broadband penetration. It translates into something like a 0.2 to 0.3% higher job growth over 1 year, or about 300,000 additional jobs. That's sort of what we observe. Okay, so wow, broadband penetration seems to. Let's be clear. What broadband is becoming is basic infrastructure. And one of the definitions I heard someone once say of infrastructure is it's that thing that nobody pays any attention to until it doesn't work. So you have to have it. You assume it's there. When it isn't there, you're really upset. Businesses, consumers, they want it for the other things they're doing. And so just looking at the broadband alone is going to capture that. And then the characteristic of infrastructure things, because they're used, is there's lots of spillover multiplier effects. Because it spills over, the people who use it to make steel or buy shoes do more of that, and then that gets more money and it feeds in elsewhere in the economy. Telecommuting, the possibilities of that, the telemedicine, online education, you hear about all these things. Things like online education, to the extent that actually improves and builds in the quality of our labor force, that's going to have impacts that are going to take time to be shown over time.